We're here at Cadwell Park for round 2 of the ACU 250 Championship. We're here at Cadwell Park for round 2 of the ACU 250 Championship. If you've been following along, you'll know we had a few problems at Brands, so this is how we got here. Back in the workshop now after the weekend's racing. This took me all week to catch up with work that we've had booked on and actually get a chance to come in the workshop. So the workshop's a bit of a state. We've basically just unloaded the van, chucked everything everywhere, and then we'll sort out as and when we can. It's supposed to be sorting out the ZXRs and the Manx and the TZs ready for next weekend, but this TZ's got me bugging. I want to find out what's gone wrong with it. So, yeah, we've got to start going through that. So, when we was at Brands, somebody walked off, you know, just come over, said, "Oh, how you getting on?" Blah, blah. And then they muttered off and they went, "Oh, I bet that's the power jets playing up." So, me being me, got back, pulled the carburetors off. The power jets haven't come loose. There's nothing really wrong with the power jets, but carburetors are now stripped into pieces. So I rang up Dennis Trollope, got some new O-rings for the carburetors. So the carburetors are stripped, got new O-rings for them. Got a new set of pistons for the bike, because obviously we had that deck line around the outside of the pistons. So my plan is to strip the motor, make sure there's no foul play gone on internally. I'm starting to think whether float levels might have been sticking. Maybe the floats were sticking and it's flooded it on one cylinder or something. There's a lot of fuel in the top air box, which I don't normally find. So that's one thing to look into. Like I say, I'm going to strip the motor, check the pistons, make sure no foul play inside the engine. And then the carburetors are going in the ultrasonic cleaner overnight. And then I've got new gaskets for them, so I'm going to go through all the float settings and everything and see what we find. Give them a nice rebuild ready, so they're nice and clean and ready to go, and go from there. So follow along as we crack on. Got another 20 minutes just warming up, and then when that's warmed up I'll put it on for another cycle and then leave it overnight cooking and do it again in the morning and see how it comes out. So guys, where are we with the TZ 250? So the TZ has come back from Brands, and we had the issues at Brands. So I stripped the engine just to make sure everything was perfect. Like you know, at Brands we had the detonation issue. So the pistons had a very slight det ring all the way around the squish band. Wasn't really serious, but you could feel it there and you could see it after the race. So we've rebuilt the engine with new pistons, new reed petals, because the reed petals had started to wear on the corners, so I put new reed petals in as well. Reset all the squish to make sure that's right with new base gaskets and everything. So we are exactly where we want to be. We know the internals of the engine are all spot on, so that's fine. So then we went through the carburetors. I've given the carburetors an ultrasonic clean. I've gone through the float levels. One of them was a bit too high. That could explain the amount of fuel that we found in the air boxes. So we've reset all the carburetors. They're bang on, nice and clean. So float levels set and everything like that. And the ignition, we've put it back to where we had it before. So that's bang on as well now, so the ignition is back there. I can obviously fault the bike. I run up and down the road by the yard, and it's running bang on. Can't fault it. So we're thinking that the carburetors are flooded and the battery died. And we think that's what it is. We think the battery died. The Zealtronic runs mint without a battery, except for when you come onto revs and then it dies. So we're thinking that the battery died and the carb's flooded, and that's what gives the issues at Brands Hatch. So I have fitted the next level up battery. So instead of the 0.8 amp hour battery, we've gone for a 2.5 one. Took a little bit of adjusting on the battery box, but that's done, that's fitted, and the bike likes it. So basically, when I turned the bike on to test the power valves when I was rebuilding the engine, it worked once, but it worked backwards to what I expected. So I turned it off and on, and then it didn't work. Put the new battery on, wired that in, and the power valves work as they should. I can hear the fuel pump working efficiently. So that makes the proper sound. So the bike sounds better with a better battery on it. So fingers crossed, that sorted everything out. But to make sure that the bike was actually, you know, what we're expecting, what it's doing, making sure it's still doing the power figures and everything that we're expecting now, obviously after all of Andy's work, I sent the bike back to Andy at 2T Engineering, and he's had it on the dyno and he's been through it as well, and it is still putting out the good power figures. And I don't know if you watched all my videos, but you might have seen that I made these lovely silencers for it. They're 300mm long instead of the 250mm long ones that come on this. And we've actually found another 1 brake horsepower. Yeah, I know it's only 1 brake horsepower, but every brake horsepower matters on this bike, because we're lacking on 5KEs. So our goal was the best 5KE we've seen put out 81. We're now at 78.3. So we've bridged that gap. And most of the 5KEs that Andy tests don't put out that power. So this bike is absolutely flying. It's doing everything that we wanted from this project. We're seeing the figures we see everywhere. And now it's just understanding how this bike works and developing everything to suit. So we're still waiting for a set of pipes from Tony Green. We're on the waiting list, so they're coming at some point. We're hoping that they're going to give us the extra that we found with the 5KE 2004 kit pipes. They worked really well for us. They give us big gains on the dyno sheets. So we're hoping that we can get that from this new set of pipes that we're having made for the bike. It went to Andy, and Andy has gone through everything as always. And we are now running a deck counter. So he's put on a deck counter there. We've got the exhaust temperatures. So obviously everything's just laid on the bike now. I've got to kind of make brackets and make everything fit and make it tidy it all up. But so what did we find? So we had this deck ring at Brands Hatch. When Andy was going through everything, he was testing everything, and he couldn't find anything wrong with the jetting that we was running. We had pretty similar conditions when it was on the dyno to what we had at Brands Hatch, and everything was running fine. And then he put on the deck counter, flashy light, flashy light. And when he was programming that in, he was getting a det signal at 11,000 RPM at 3/4 throttle. And then he's gone back through all his data, and what he could find was that with the best performing needle position we had at 11,000 RPM at 3/4 throttle, we were going lean and was running too lean. And what we think is with a Brands Hatch, going around clearways, when you're just rolling that throttle on in third gear, she was running lean, and that's what was causing the det ring on the pistons. That's the only thing we found. So Andy has adjusted the needles. He said he didn't really want to lift the needles because that would affect low throttle, but we tried it and we've lifted the needle 1 notch on the carbs, and it's cured the lean spot at 3/4 throttle, and the bike still pulls even though it's rich on half throttle lower revs. So now it's just a case of testing it on track and seeing where we got. So I've got to fit this EGT gauge and this det counter ready for Cadwell Park. We also went through rich jetting to find out what we can get away with the jetting, and we've gone up 2 jet sizes and it doesn't affect the power on the bike. Just slightly, but not noticeable. So we are now running 2 jet sizes up, and the plan is to try that in practice and then jet down in small increments until obviously we're getting the performance that we want from the bike. So that is the plan. So I'm going to get these det counter and EGT fitted, and then get the bike prepped and ready to go to Cadwell next weekend, and that is where we're at. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying the videos, and yeah, keep following. So guys, that's the electronics fitted to the bike properly. I hope you like what I've done. Now it's just a case of prepping the bike, making sure everything's ready for Cadwell Park. I'm going to leave these tyres on for practice and possibly qualify and maybe chuck a new rear in for the race, but we'll see how the tyre works and everything around Cadwell. Cadwell's normally a place that cleans tyres up, so we'll see how the worn 160 goes. And yeah, that's about pretty much it. So yeah, she's looking good again. So let's hope that the battery and the carb float heights and everything cures the issues that we had at Brands Hatch. And now we've got some security to show us what's happening when the bike's running as well. So yeah, should be good.
I missed you and I fucking thought I'll come back.
I was in the little back markers most of the time.
Alright, was it?
Yeah, felt it.
I mean, the engine feel alright.
What did you go out with? Shoot flat.
Aye?
Super clean, weren't it?
Fucking hell. Some of them were fucking coming off foot.
They don't warm up though, do they? They just fucking go.
Oh, a mod burn, was it?
I think so.
Happy?
Yeah, I'm going to struggle with the wrists.
I come back here thinking you broke down. I see the van going out. Oh.
Your drive like us.
Police everywhere, but
Police
not so bad.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
bad.
mate, there must have been no police training or something. They was fucking hammering up and down the road.
David, I'm come back, did you?
Yeah. Pretty similar. So if I block one that's practice done, bike's checked, refueled, everything's ready to go. So we've got qualifying next. We've checked the pistons and the new jetting and everything seems to be working well. So we're looking good, feeling alright. Wrists are suffering a little bit around Cadwell, but we'll see how we get on in qualifying and then see what we do for the race.
Good. Third.
Third. Gavin got fast lap, did he?
Mills,
Yeah.
and then Atkinson, then you.
I found out
Oh,
how
Mills
to
is
open
fastest.
those.
Yeah.
Made that boy because of rocket ship.
By 0.2 of a second, and you're 0.9 off them all.
Not bad considering I didn't get a clean lap. When I went to do a clean lap, Gavin just powered straight past me from the chicane to the bottom of the mountain.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, silver boy, Gavin, 20.
But that started running like Levi.
That's it. I go. Thank you very much.
Your arms are sweating.
Yeah. That's hard work.
My hands are.
Felt better, but I'm still getting, for some reason, the back's kicking like mad.
Back is.
Yeah. Well, when I went to, it must be because it's like a foot in the air or something. I turned into Mansfield and it was like, whoa, what's going on here? That was on that one fast lap that I thought we had, obviously didn't have.
Point, like I say, 0.9 off the lead.
What are they lapping at?
1:39.
39? Yeah. So you've got 2 seconds to score for that, yeah.
What?
I just didn't get a clean lap. It took me, them Hondas are so bloody fast, and I think we're like a bit too rich. There's a bog going up with Charlie's. I went to go past him up Charlie's, and I went from the 5th and it clipped to 4th. And I went,
Dad's copy to running. That's like running like this.
Safe, isn't it?
yeah. With 2 sides up, 2 sides down, I think. It just pulled from the chicane. He just pulled out and went past me, and I was like just about to tip in, and it was like, hey up, what are you doing?
I saw that. Was he at the last one? Edit that and we don't put that.
Yeah, but he's brought past the bike, didn't he?
Yeah. Saw that.
Well, he was on the older style Honda, and he's brought the new.
New badge. Well, you would let him get me, so, and then you started getting me as well.
But I do well. I can't remember mine.
What you said, John?
Yeah.
How many laps is the long race?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to go
Wow, what's that?
driver. I punched.
What round here?
Red flag. TQ8, red flag.
So guys, qualifying done. We managed to get 3rd position. So the bike's feeling a little bit underpowered today. I don't know if it's just the fact that the Hondas are faster or whether we're just a bit too rich. So we've leaned her out for the race. We got down 1 jet size to start with. We're going to see what that does. So the pistons still look washed. So we're just going to drop 1 jet size and see how it goes for the race. So we're feeling all right, and we'll see how it goes.
Push, mate.
No.
Not shook on then, mate.
Went on properly, was it?
No.
Can't win this year, mate.
At least you having a laugh about it, mate.
Well, what else can you do? I ain't gonna cry.
Oh, no.
Pop the carburetor off.
Wait,
Did you add them all?
split off then.
What?
Did you add them all?
Of course I did, didn't I? Who else?
We did go off. We didn't put them back on then. We didn't put them back on.
Oh, you figured that much out, did you?
Oi.
Go on, lay it on thick, mate.
Yes, mate. Oh, that kid's had a bad race, didn't he?
I know, I'm sat there going, for fuck's sake, fucking hell, he's had a shit one, I could have beat him, we could have had Levi's hair off tonight. He lives to fight another day, doesn't he?
Hey, could you go in the 125 race? What bastard?
Just come out of bar, go down to the line, he went, yeah, well that's a bit funny. Well, that's a bit weird. Rolled straight past the fucking start line and pulled in the end. What can you do? You can't do football, can you?
Hey, you could have shaken it before we got there.
Well, I thought Steve would have been down there with a screwdriver, but
Well, mate.
he ain't got the effort he had with BSP, has he?
How many more races?
Did you know he run from saying that one up to here
I'm back
run
again.
back and he run into
He
the
didn't,
fence,
he
he
didn't
couldn't
stop at the
stop.
top of the hill. So guys, Sunday morning, we got warm up in about an hour's time. Yesterday didn't go too great. Changed the jetting on the bike. Obviously didn't get the carburetor seated properly and the car popped off on the way down to the line. So give myself a load of work to do. We've got to start from the back today. So we're going to go out in morning warm up and just get up to speed because we're going to be going through slower riders and we want to make sure that we're on pace when we're going. So yeah, morning warm up, test the bike, make sure everything's still good. Yeah, not really a lot to say really. It's my own cock up. Just one of them things, isn't it? The front carburetor is a bit tricky to get on. It's got a Phillips screwdriver screw head on it, so I think for next time I'm going to remove the screw heads. They're getting a little bit rounded off, so you don't know if they're tight or not. So yeah, I'm going to change the Phillips crosshead screws on the carburetor clamps to Allen keys, but if I'm 100% honest, I think they were tight and I just didn't have the carburetor seated properly. So I pushed it in last night, tightened it up, yanked it a few times, it's not budging now. So fingers crossed, learn my lesson, pay a bit more attention, get a flashlight in there, make sure everything's 100%. So it's one of them, innit? Never done it before, first time it's happened to me, learn the hard way. So yeah, we've got to start from the back today. We're going out warm up, get up to speed, and then we'll see how we get on today. But yeah, fingers crossed we have a better day. This year's not really going my way, but you know, you make your own luck. So let's sort these things out, stop making little silly mistakes, get on top of stuff, and we'll go again.
Hi, mate, alright?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, good man.
How's it going?
Yeah, shit one yesterday, but just get these Watermans on, I'll be with you.
Yeah, you go ahead. No rush.
Fuel check. Hey, mate, alright?
Oh, you been alright?
Yeah, not bad, mate, not bad.
Full mic.
Hey, mate, alright? Yeah, not bad, mate, not bad.
Yeah.
100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100.
What's a ride?
Well done. Well done. You can't leave me hanging. We did when we went to Tenerife, we went on the sunbed. Oh my god, the first day we was to Tenerife, right?
Nearly flipped it over the mountain, but I weren't letting go of that throttle. What a ride, mate. Wait till you see the camera footage from the mountain, mate. Jesus Christ. I come up and I thought I'll cut the inside of it, but the bike just went, "Run me!" I'm like, oh no! What a ride, mate.
I nearly did the stretch right now.
Even your commentator saying that's the ride of the weekend, probably the ride of the season. Your commentator's loving you, mate. We do need to balance these wheels, though. Oh, mate. It was just like, pass or don't get past, so stick it in when you can. They go off the lap times for the grid position for the next race. Yeah. Give you second then.
What was it?
Happy with that?
What? Not ride of the day, ride of the season, he said, the commentator. But Palmer and happy.
You know, over the mountain won that, mate. It was like that, and I was like, hey, let off the throttle. I went past a fucking grandstand, fucking vertical wheel, and go, fucking come down.
Oh, really?
Just managed to get lucky, didn't I? I had a good first couple of laps, and I was on them, and I thought, fucking hell, they ain't on me.
Oh, that was encouraged.
I was expecting 38 age in traffic, I said. And then when I got past into third, I like, see Gavin, I was like, I'm not making that gap up because he'll be on the same pace as me. And then it kind of like, you know, when you just fade that little bit, and you're like going into corners and you're like, oh, that's same. So rather than going through the gooseneck 2-wheel drifting.
That's like it was not last at any point.
Hey?
It was not last at any point.
That's second line.
Commentators couldn't believe it.
I thought I was going to get a 10-second penalty though because he just pit. They all got kind of stopped, didn't they? They've got to get going and then stop, and I'm like bagging second gear, and I'm like, whoop, and I was like, oh shit, so I went in the pit lane and got back out again. I shouldn't have started back really.
Didn't have a podium there.
Not that race, the next race. It's the last race of each day.
Alright.
Happy with that?
You're glad you walked the track now, aren't you?
You know where I overtook them all now, didn't you?
Everywhere.
Every time you come past me,
It isn't far either. It's too far away.
Mate, did you see that one? It nearly flipped me. I was like, what? I was going to overtake the bloke, and then it just went like sky, and I'm like, oh, is it? Did you have your camera out? It must have jumped because it like it bounced, and then it was like up there stuck, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. They're not very thick from fucking either, are they? Right, yeah. I have got them, but it's on the trolley. And the trolley out. You need to put your shaft in. Yeah. Yeah, that'll shaft, then you can tighten that. Yeah. Drop it down. Bounce it. Bounce it shortly. And then you can tighten this side up. You have to bounce it to make sure fork neck's straight. Fork neck's straight. When they're fully extended, then you do that. When they're further up, the bushing's down here and here, so it holds your leg. You have to bounce up. Make sure the legs are straight. So I think I've redeemed myself from yesterday's race. We made it from 26th on the grid and we got back up to 3rd place. So great race, real good fun. I see my dad cheering. My dad's finally smiled this weekend, so that's a win. We were second fastest, so we started second for the next race, and that's the podium race, so that'll be good, see if we can get up on the podium. It'd be nice to start a race with the fast boys and just see where we get off, but the sun's out here at Cadwell, we're having a nice day, so fingers crossed, just keeps getting better. So guys, at home after Cadwell Park for the ACU 250 Grand Prix. Obviously the weekend didn't go our way, but let's talk about the pros and the cons. Like, so obviously we had the issues from Brands Hatch with the detonation and everything. That all seems to be cured now. Pistons looked all good all weekend. Played about with jetting, so we kind of understand a bit better now where we're going with the jetting. So we went 2 sizes bigger. We've come down 1 size and the bike seems to run really well. We played about with needles since Brands to Cadwell. We didn't change them at Cadwell, but we kind of have an understanding about what the needles do, the difference they made. To be fair, it's quite hard to tell any differences from Brands to Cadwell due to the massive change in gearing. So you go from a 42 at Brands to a 39 at Cadwell, so that's a big jump in gearing, 3 teeth off the back. So yeah, it's the bike felt slower, but whether it was or not, it's hard to tell. But obviously when we made the jetting change, that did make a difference. I think we're still safe to go down another jet size, but I like to run the bike safe. As you can probably see from the footage, you know, we kind of try and get the most out of the bike, so it's always best to have it safe and not have to worry about anything going wrong. Obviously I put the exhaust gas temperature sensors on. Biggest problem with that setup was I couldn't actually see it when I was on the bike. It had a blue light and blue numbers. They weren't very visible. One of the sensors didn't actually stay in the exhaust, so that blew out in practice. So the fact that I couldn't read the sensors on the dash and one of the sensors come out, I just didn't think it was worth running it for the race weekend. So I put the bongs back in and removed the sensors. So we didn't look at that, but it's something we can work on in the future. We need to play about with colours and see if there's a colour that obviously makes the numbers stand out. But the blue, which is the standard setting, you couldn't see the numbers, so it's pointless running it really, because, well, you can't see the numbers, so you can't really do anything with it. So yeah, so we took that off, and then we run the deck counter. Now the deck counter was quite useful. It obviously, we checked the pistons and everything, and we know we had no detonation all weekend. We did have a deck counter flash on 5th to 6th gear change, not every lap, just every now and then, and it didn't really matter which straight it was using 6th gear on. So sometimes it was the bottom straight, it'd flash, other times it's the top straight. Andy seems to think that's picking up on engine noise, kind of like background noise or whatever, so it might be slightly too sensitive. He did ask me to change the sensitivity for the last race, but we know what's happened there, so we'll get into that in a minute. And then the only other time it flashed was randomly at 6th gear flat out. Obviously the only place you were 6th gear flat out was coming up in the hill into park. So occasionally I'd get a couple of flashes there, but nothing to say, you know, you're dangerous. So it kind of worked. We probably need to play about with the sensitivity a little bit, but we need to kind of adjust that and adjust the engine and just work the two together to figure out how it's going to work for us. But it definitely proved to be working. So I'm going to order myself one. I think I'm going to go for the twin cylinder kit with the counter and the flashing light. They're made by April Systems, so I'll probably put a link in the description, and then you can all check it out and see what you think. So yeah, so the deck counter we thought was quite useful. Give us a little bit of feedback, nothing serious, and kind of, you know, we know the engine's running all right at the moment, so it's something that if it does flash a lot, then we know we've got a fault and we can look into it. So it's worth, I think it's worth having, and we're gonna explore that option. Clutch slipping. So yeah, so in practice obviously the clutch slipped again, like Brand's practice clutch slipped. I think the clutch is getting quite a lot of hammer on the dyno, and then I basically washed the whole clutch off with brake cleaner, and whether I had it 100% adjusted correctly or not, I don't know, but I think it was just burning off a bit of brake cleaner. I adjusted the centre nut slightly, just slackened it off just to give it a little bit of extra free play. Never had no issues the rest of the weekend, so hopefully that's that. I'll probably measure the clutch pack once I strip the bike down and give it a clean off, and see if the clutch pack's still within tolerance. But it didn't look that warm when I cleaned it, so I was a bit surprised when it was slipping again. But I think it's the case of they get really hot on the dyno, and then obviously cleaning it off with brake cleaner and stuff, then it's got some residues in there that it needs to burn off and stuff. So yeah, fingers crossed that's all right. Like I say, it didn't play out the rest of the weekend. Even the race starts were perfectly fine. The clutch felt good. Happy with that. So I don't think that's something that we need to address or get into. Bridgestone 160 rear tyre. I run it this weekend at 28 psi. It seemed to give good grip. Didn't have no problems with that. I think that the soft 160 is the same compound as the I'm trying to think what it's called now, but I think it's an XCX. I think you got the XCY and the XCX compounds in the 165. So the XCX is the softer of the compounds and the XCY is the harder one, and I think it's the same as the XCX compound. It feels the same. If you push it too hard you get a little bit of movement, nothing drastic, but I think once the temperatures come up
then I think we might struggle with this soft compound 160, and we'll all be back on the 165 medium XCY compounds. Like I say, I tried it with 28 psi in it. I didn't have no issues. It was loads of grip. Really worked well, to be fair. The only issue I'm having with a 160 at the moment is corner entry. So basically, when you're hard on the brakes and you go to turn in, it feels as if the back's tracking across. So it's not following the front. It seems to veer wide, and as if you're backing the bike in. I had a couple of snatches from the back end, which I don't normally get, but as we know, obviously I'm still recovering from broken wrists and I'm really weak on the wrists, so it might be a bit to do with my control, or it might be to do with the new tyre being a slightly smaller rolling radius. I did measure the tyres up, and width, circumference and all that, it seemed to measure exactly the same. But I didn't do the rolling radius, so I might measure the rolling radius of both tyres and see if there's much difference there. It might just be a case that I need to just lift the back end of the bike up a little bit, but I tend to run the back of the bike lower because I'm a bigger guy, and when I get on the brakes the bike tends to kind of put all the weight onto the front wheel, and then I can't brake as hard as I need to. Being a heavier guy and everything, I kind of make up most of the speed on the brakes because the littler guys are so fast in a straight line. But other than that, the tyre's working really well. It gives good grip and everything, so you know, and the wear of it is quite good as well. But I found this with the XCX tyres, in the winter or in the colder months they seem to work well, and then you hit the hotter months, and mainly around Castle Combe. Castle Combe was a bit of a killer for the Bridgestone rear tyres. I put a new one on for the race there, and it was all over the place straight away, and I was like, what is going on? And then everyone said that they got the XCY, so I got one of them, and they're brilliant, to be fair. They work really well in the hotter conditions, so it might be a case that the soft's too soft, but we'll see as the season goes on what happened this weekend. Oh, man's up, you know, race one, went down to the line and the carburetor popped off. 100% my fault. We changed the jet end before we went out. I was telling the lads it's my weak wrist, which it probably is, but it's no excuse. Obviously I didn't check it properly. The carburetor obviously wasn't seated in the rubber properly, and I've tightened the clamp up and then it's just popped it back out. Annoying. It's one of them. Cadwell Park, you struggle because no one really wants to go down to the line because it's so far away from the pits, so I couldn't even have someone sat in the pit lane or something to be able to put it back on, so you're stuck down there. Missed a race, nightmare, but you know, we live and learn, don't we? So lesson learned. I doubt I'll make that mistake again. You know, I'm not saying I won't, because I probably will, but I doubt I will. You know, I've made the mistake once, so every time I take them carbs off, I'm going to give them a good yank to make sure they don't come off before I go out on it. So that's a lesson learned, a hard one to take. Obviously the main competition had a bad race that race, so we could have done with like gaining some points, but instead we've lost points this weekend, so not good. And then obviously that put me at the back for race 2. Obviously starting from the back of the grid is not ideal. Makes the weekend hard, makes the race hard. You got to be on point, because obviously you're coming through slower riders. You don't want to ruin any of their races, you don't want to upset people, you want to keep everyone happy. So yeah, you got to be quite clean in what you do and everything. I think we got rather lucky. It kind of fell my way. Every time that I caught somebody, they either made a mistake or they left the door open, and just made it easy for me. So we managed to cut through the pack really well. Really happy with how we was riding. Looking at the lap times, I was consistently in the 38s, so that shows we've got good pace. We were coming through traffic and we was hitting 38s. I think I had 4 38s on the trot, so that's good. 7-lap race, so coming through traffic and hitting the 38s and stuff, I'm really happy with that. It shows we had good pace. and then that just makes it even more heartbreaking for the last race of the day. So we come from the back of the grid to third, we got the second fastest time, and then we're all set for obviously a showdown with the faster lads, getting in amongst it. And went out on the warm-up lap, and the throttle stuck around Chris Curve. Played about with it, got it back off, and then coming at the chicane, it done it. Coming up to the chicane, I think it was, it done it again. It stuck again, and I've raced with throttles not great and had bad crashes. I had one at Brands Hatch where the throttle stuck flat out on a ZXR 400 down the start finish straight. Obviously, we were braking as you come over the crest into Paddock Hill. And as I shut the throttle and pulled the front brake on, it stayed absolutely flat out, and it just locked the front and chucked me into Paddock Hill bend at like about 140 mile an hour. Not fun. Luckily, I managed to find a little hole in the tyre wall, and I slid under the tyre wall, come out the other side, and yeah, it was a lucky escape. So yeah, so as soon as the throttle stuck, it's not worth the risk. I'm not at a point where I can take a crash and I want to risk it. So yeah, had to pull in the pits. Got back to the van, and when you pulled the throttle and released it, you could see the cable pushing away from the throttle. So we're thinking the cables are seized. Ordered all new cables, so for the next meeting we'll be on brand new cables. And I'll check all the slides in the carburetors again and just make sure everything's there and nothing's gonna ride there. But yeah, it's just not turning out to be our year. We're having a bit of bad luck. Throttle cables, maybe we should have changed them over the winter, but we've never had an issue with throttle cables before, or power valve cables or anything. But I've ordered the whole set, so every single cable on the bike, it's all ordered. We'll get them fitted before the next round, and then we'll go again. So yeah, I think we all thought that we'd be messing about with engines and trying to dial the engine in and everything, and it seems like we've got a really good setup on the engine, and it's all the little things that are just catching us out at the moment. So yeah, we'll get it sorted, and we'll be up the front and we'll be pushing on. So it's just one of them. It's not been the greatest year for me, has it? It's not going well, but we'll sort it out, and we'll crack on and we'll get this all sorted. So yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Like I say, if you want a free hat, just come and find me at any meeting that I'm at and show me you follow me on YouTube, and we'll give you a free hat. Yeah, and yeah, thanks for all the views, thanks for all the support, and just remember, if you like it, like, subscribe and follow me, and everything helps. So yeah, cheers guys.
Short carburetor, right? And take the all in day, innit? Yeah.